K-278 Komsomolets was the only Project 685 Plavnik nuclear-powered attack submarine of the Soviet Navy. On 4 August 1984, K-278 reached a record submergence depth of 1,020 meters in the Norwegian Sea. The boat sank in 1989 and is currently resting on the floor of the Barents Sea, 1 mile deep, with its nuclear reactor and 2 nuclear warheads still on board. The single Project 685 was developed to test technologies for Soviet fourth-generation nuclear submarines. Although primarily intended as a developmental model, it was fully combat-capable, but sank after a fire broke out in the aft engineering compartment on its first operational patrol. The Komsomolets was able to surface after the fire started and remained afloat for approximately 5 hours before sinking. Of the 42 crew members who died, only 4 were killed by the fire and smoke, while 34 died of hypothermia and drowning in the frigid waters while awaiting rescue that did not arrive in time. Because of this shocking loss of life, a very public inquiry was conducted and, as a result, many formally classified details were revealed by the Soviet news media. Design. The Project 685 was designed by the Rubin Design Bureau in response to a challenge to develop an advanced submarine that could carry a mix of torpedoes and cruise missiles with conventional and nuclear warheads. The order to design the submarine was issued in 1966 and design was completed in 1974. The first keel was laid down on the 22nd of April 1978 at Severodvinsk. K-278 was launched on 3 June 1983 and commissioned on 28 December 1983. K-278 had a double hull, the inner one being composed of titanium, which gave her an operating depth far greater than that of the best American submarines. The pressure hull was composed of 7 compartments, with the second and third protected by stronger forward and aft bulkheads, creating a safety zone in case of an emergency. An escape capsule was fitted in the sail above these compartments to enable the crew to abandon ship in the event of an underwater emergency. Initial Western intelligence estimates of K-278's speed were based on the assumption that it was powered by a pair of liquid metal lead-bismuth reactors. When the Soviet Union revealed that the submarine used a single OK-650B3 conventional pressurized water reactor, these speed estimates were lowered. Crew. According to Norman Palmer and Kenneth J. Moore, 2 Western experts on Soviet submarine design and operations, the Project 685's advanced design included many automated systems which, in turn, allowed for fewer crew members than would be expected for a submarine of its size. The manning table approved by the Ministry of Defense in 1982 called for a crew of just 57 men. This was later increased to 64 to 30 officers, 22 warrant officers, and 12 petty officers and seamen. Submarine K-278 gets a name. In October 1988, K-278 was honored by becoming one of the few Soviet submarines to be given an actual name. Komsomolets, and her commanding officer, Captain First Rank Yuri Zelensky, was honored for diving to a depth of 1,020 meters, sinking on 7 April 1989, while under the command of Captain First Rank Evgeny Vanin and running submerged at a depth of 335 meters, about 180 kilometers southwest of Bear Island. Fire broke out in the engine room due to a short circuit, and even though watertight doors were shut, the resulting fire spread through bulkhead cable penetrations. The reactor scrammed and propulsion was lost. Electrical problems spread as cables burned through and control of the boat was threatened. An emergency ballast tank blow was performed and the submarine surfaced 11 minutes after the fire began. Distress calls were made, and most of the crew abandoned ship. The fire continued to burn, fed by the compressed air system. At 15:15, several hours after the boat surfaced, it sank again in 1,680 meters of water, about 250 kilometers SSW off Bear Island. The commanding officer and 4 others who were still on board entered the escape capsule and ejected it. Only one of the 5 to reach the surface was able to leave the capsule and survive before it sank again in the rough seas. Rescue aircraft arrived quickly and dropped small rafts, but many men had already died from hypothermia in the 2 degrees Celsius water of the Barents Sea. The floating fish factory B-64 Alexei Klobistov arrived 81 minutes after K-278 sank, and took aboard 25 survivors and 5 fatalities. In total, 42 of the 69 crewmen died in the accident, including the commanding officer. Aftermath. In addition to her standard torpedoes, K-278 was carrying 2 torpedoes armed with nuclear warheads. Under pressure from Norway, the Soviet Union used deep-sea submersibles operated from the oceanographic research ship Academic Mstislav Keldysh to search for K-278. In June 1989, 2 months after the sinking, the wreck was located. Soviet officials stated that any possible leaks were insignificant and posed no threat to the environment. Examination of the wreck in May 1992 revealed cracks along the entire length of the titanium hull, some of which were of 30 to 40 centimeters wide, as well as possible breaches in the reactor coolant pipes. An oceanographic survey of the area in August 1993 did suggest that waters at the site were not mixing vertically, and thus the sea life in the area was not being rapidly contaminated. The survey also revealed a hole over 6 meters wide in the forward torpedo compartment. An expedition in mid-1994 revealed some plutonium leakage from one of the 2 nuclear torpedoes. On 24 June 1995, Keldysh set out again from St. Petersburg to the Mike datum to seal the hull fractures in Compartment 1 and cover the nuclear warheads, and declared success at the end of subsequent expedition in July 1996. The Russian government has declared the risk of radioactive contamination of the environment negligible until 2015 or 2025. Norwegian authorities from the Marine Environmental Agency and Radiation Agency took several samples in August 2008 and no radiation was found. They checked for different radioactive substances including gamma emitters, plutonium, americium and strontium. In 1993, Vice Admiral Chernov, commander of the submarine group of which the Komsomolets was part, founded the Komsomolets Nuclear Submarine Memorial Society, a charity to support the widows and orphans of his former command. Since then, the Society's charter has expanded to provide assistance to the families of all Soviet and Russian submariners lost at sea. Also, the 7th of April has become a day of commemoration for all submariners lost at sea.